Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda and I'm from amandacrochets.com. In today's video I'm going to show you all about my favorite yarns. These yarns are in no particular order. They're just the most favorite and most used yarns that I have in my collection right now. And I seem to gravitate towards these because most of them, if not all of them, are super soft yarns. They're machine washable yarns and I can use them in a variety of projects. As you may know, I love to make baby blankets, so I tend to gravitate towards these yarns to make baby blankets, amongst other things. So let's get started with today's video. One of the first yarns I tend to gravitate towards is this Simply Soft yarn. Like I said, it's very soft and it's very squishy, and I love that it's machine washable and dryable, so it's perfect for charity projects and baby blankets, as well as many other things. And it doesn't have any wool in it, and I know a lot of people are allergic to wool, or the wool irritates the skin, so I feel like this is a perfect alternative to use for those that are more sensitive to wool. So this is a 6-ounce skein, or 170.1 grams. It's 315 yards, or 288 meters. It's 100% acrylic and machine washable and dryable, like I said. And it's considered a number 4 worsted weight medium yarn. The recommended hook size, as you can see here, let me just zoom up a little bit, is a US H8 5mm crochet hook, and for the knitters, a US 8 5mm knitting needle. Now this yarn has no dye lots, so you don't have to worry about matching the dye lots when you purchase your yarn. And this yarn comes in a wide variety of solid colors, variegated colors, and heather colors, and also striping colors. So just be aware that when you buy the solid colors, you're going to get a 6-ounce skein, and if you buy one of the other varieties of this yarn, they're most likely going to be a 5-ounce skein. Whenever you buy a solid color yarn, you're going to have a little bit more yardage than you would with a variegated color. This next yarn is Red Heart Soft, and again this comes in a variety of solid and variegated colors. And this is a 5-ounce skein, or 141 grams. It is 256 yards, or 234 meters. This is 100% acrylic, and again machine wash and dry. And again, this is no dye lots. I feel like a lot of Red Heart yarns are no dye lots, which always is nice because you don't have to worry about matching the dye lots when you're in the store or when you buy them online. This is also a number 4 medium worsted weight yarn, and the recommended hook size is an I9 or 5.5mm crochet hook. And for the knitters, they recommend a US 8 or 5mm knitting needle. So you have this yarn right here, and I feel like it's very soft and squishy, much like the Simply Soft. I do feel like the Simply Soft is a little bit thinner of a 4-weight, so if you can see, this is the Simply Soft versus the Red Heart Soft. But I still really like both of them, and they make a great project. I actually just finished a blanket using this yarn, and I feel like it glided over the hook very nicely, and I didn't really have any problems with it. This next yarn is Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn, and I like how it comes in a huge variety of solid color yarns, and they have sparkle yarns, and they have variegated and stripes, basically everything under the sun that you can think of. So they have every color that you could ever possibly want, so that's always really nice. And also the great thing about Hobby Lobby is every other week they have a 30% off your entire order of yarn, so that's always nice to keep a lookout for. And you have 100% acrylic again. The recommended hook size is a US I9 or 5.5mm crochet hook. The recommended knitting needle is a US 8 or 5mm knitting needle. This is a 7-ounce skein, or 199 grams, and it is 355 yards, or 325 meters. Now I'm not sure if it is something that you have to match the die lots for, but if you need to, you just want to look where it says lot number, and you just want this number right here to match. And this is a beautiful light purple color. They call it Orchid. And like I said, right here they have the metallics, which is this very nice sparkly yarn. They have this in a few different shades as well. And the only difference for this, there's two differences actually. This is 97% acrylic and 3% metallic polyester. And it's a 5-ounce skein, or 142 grams, and it's 252 yards, or 230 meters. So you get slightly less yarn if you use this kind of yarn, which is variegated or metallic or striping, anything like that. Like I said, solid colors tend to have more yardage on it than the other variegated yarns. This next yarn is Premier Yarns, and it's the Deborah Norville Everyday Antipilling yarn. I really like this a lot because, as you can see here on the label, right here, they show you what a standard acrylic yarn will eventually look like after you wash it a few times. And they claim that this yarn, if you wash it, it will still look pretty much brand new. Now I haven't really tested this too much, but I have noticed that sometimes with other yarns you might get a little bit of fuzziness after washing it. You might get a little bit of fuzziness after washing it, but other than that, I would not let that discourage you from making blankets or hats or scarves or anything with the different acrylic yarns that are out there. So this is a 4-ounce skein, or 113 grams, and it is 203 yards, or 186 meters. And right here it says Antipilling, and it is considered a number 4 worsted weight yarn, and it is recommending, let's see if I can get that in focus for you guys. It's a little hard to see, but they recommend a US I9 or 5.5 millimeter crochet hook, and they recommend a US 8 or 5 millimeter knitting needle. And again, it's machine wash and dry, so it's perfect for charity knitting, and it's perfect for babies. And I'm not sure about this yarn, but I usually try and match the lot number, so you want to look right here to make sure that number is the same, so that way your shades are all the same. Now you might be asking why you want to match your dye lots. So the dye lots are important for certain yarns, because if you buy this yarn and you have to match the dye lots, even though it might look about the same, your shading of each yarn might be slightly off. So say I bought this color and then I bought another skein of this color, that color might be slightly darker or slightly lighter due to the dyeing process when it's being manufactured. So you just want to make sure that you pay attention to that with certain yarns. Usually it would say on the label if it was no dye lot, such as this. So if it says no dye lot, you don't have to worry. But if it doesn't say no dye lot, then I would be a little bit cautious and just try and match the dye lots together just to be safe. This next yarn is Red Heart Super Saver Ombre. I discovered this yarn a few years ago when it came out, I believe, and I really love it a lot. As the name implies, it is an ombre yarn, and as you can see, it goes from the darker blue and then it goes to that lighter blue, back to the dark. I've made a few blankets using different shades of this yarn, and they all come out very beautifully. I'm not sure exactly how many different colors are in this line, but I'm going to say at least 8 to 10. They have purple and blue like I'm showing here. They have a mint color. They have like a purpley pink color. So they have different shades that you could use, and if you see here in the label, if you use this particular skein, this is what the ombre effect will look like. So it's very pretty. Now this is a giant 10-ounce skein, and it's 283 grams. It's 482 yards or 440 meters. And this is 100% acrylic, machine wash and dry. Now this is a different yarn. You want to make sure you buy enough of the same dye lot to complete the project. So you want to look again for that lot number, which is right over here, and just make sure that everything matches up. Another thing about this yarn that I like is that they showed this little diagram. So if you want to grab your yarn end from the outside of your skein, you want to go on this side. And if you want to grab the yarn from the middle, much like I prefer, you want to look on this side. So as you can see, here's that end right here for the middle, and here's that end to go on the outside of your skein. Much like the other yarns, this is a 4 worsted weight yarn, and they recommend a size I9 or 5.5 millimeter crochet hook, and for the knitters, a US 8 or 5 millimeter crochet, knitting needle. And again, this is a very nice ombre effect yarn. This next yarn is perfect for those baby items, and it is Bernat Softy Baby. And I like, it's kind of like the Caron Simply Soft, where it has that little bit of a sheen to it. And this is 100% acrylic, and it's machine wash and dryable. And this is a 5-ounce skein or 140 grams, and it's approximately 362 yards or 331 meters. Now this is slightly smaller than the other skeins, or I'm sorry, it's slightly a thinner yarn than the other skeins that I've shown you. This is considered a lightweight number 3 yarn, so this is a little bit on the thinner side. So if you don't like thinner yarns, you might want to skip this one. But I found it very easy to work with, especially if you use a slightly bigger hook. Usually if I make a baby blanket using this yarn, I use a size I crochet hook, but they recommend a US G6 or 4 millimeter crochet hook, and for the knitters, a US 6 4 millimeter knitting needle for this yarn. And for this particular yarn, you want to look for the dye lots, so you want to match the dye lots with this number right over here. And then that way you can ensure that your shades are the exact same. And much like all the yarns that I showed you before and the yarns I'm going to show you after, they all come with a very nice free pattern on the label. So that's always very helpful. And this yarn has been tested for harmful substances, so that's always very nice, especially when you know that this yarn is going to be made into something for a baby. So this next yarn is Red Heart with Love, and this is a premium yarn. You might know its sister, which is the Red Heart Super Saver. This is kind of a little bit of an upgrade. The difference is that this is a little bit of a softer yarn, and Super Saver tends to be a little bit scratchy, but regardless, you can always wash the Super Saver yarn and it will come out a little bit softer. And I'm sure this yarn will be just about the same, but it is already soft to the touch, so you don't have to worry about it being too scratchy like the Super Saver yarn. This is a 7-ounce skein or 198 grams, and it is 370 yards or 338 meters. And again, you got that nice free pattern on the label. And you do not have to worry about dye lots with this yarn. This is a number 4 worsted weight yarn. The recommended hook size is a K 10.5 or a 6.5 millimeter crochet hook. And for the knitters, they recommend a US 9 5.5 millimeter knitting needles. This is machine wash and dry and 100% acrylic. And this comes in a variety of solid colors, and there's a few different variegated colors as well. And again, with the solid colors, you're going to get more yardage than you would with the variegated colors. And I've used this yarn in a variety of projects as well. Next we have the Caron cotton cakes. I'm sure you know that when this first came out, they came out with the small 3.5 ounce skeins, and they have since upgraded to this giant cake yarn. This is one of my favorite colors of all time in this line, and it's called Beach Glass. And again, you have that free pattern on the label. And this is an 8.8 ounce cake, or 250 grams, and it is 530 yards or 485 meters. It's 60% cotton, 40% acrylic, and it's machine wash and dry. And it's considered a number 4 worsted weight yarn. And for the knitters, they recommend a US 7 4.5 millimeter knitting needles, and for the crocheters, a US H8 or 5 millimeter crochet hook. Now, I don't think you have to worry about doing any kind of dye lot match with this, but I try to do that anyway with this number right here. And I also look at this number, and I try with some of the yarns to match up the color. So if this color starts with brown, I kind of buy the same skein with the brown in the middle. You're not always going to get it perfect, but I try to match the centers together, and I feel like that helps a little bit. But this is a very nice squishy yarn. I've made mini blankets with this yarn, and I have found that they're very lightweight for the summer and spring months, so keep that in mind. Now, what's also new about this yarn is they came out recently with solid colors, so I really like that too, because I feel like you can mix and match a little bit. Now, some of the colors, when you mix and match, they're not exactly on point. So for this one, you have the white, but in the Beach Glass over here, this is more of like a cream color. So you just want to be a little bit aware that your colors, when you mix and match, may not be exact, but it still turns out to be very pretty. You can always mix and match the different solid colors as well. And this is the exact same. You still get the same amount of yardage in the solid colors that you do in the variegated color. And I really like how it works up. Now, the thing you want to know about the Caron cake yarns, whether it's the regular cakes, the big cakes, the cotton cakes, the baby cakes, latte cakes, whatever kind of Caron cakes that are out there, you want to know that all the stripes are very random. There's no way really to match up the striping of the yarn unless you cut up everything. So say I didn't like the patterning of it because I felt like right here it should have gone to maybe like that lighter brown instead of this teal color right here. Most people tend to like cut up the yarn to mix and match the way that they like it. I kind of let it just flow as naturally as possible. I don't really cut up my yarn too much unless I feel like there's like a small section of a color that shouldn't be there. The other thing you want to know is that because you're using all these different colors, you might have specks of the color in different colors. So say for this cream color, you're working the color and you might see like a splotch of brown or teal color in here. If that bothers you, then I would probably stay away from the colors like this. But if that doesn't bother you too much, then I would just continue working. But that's just something to look out for when you use these Caron cakes. Actually, you can probably see it right here a little bit. So see how it's supposed to be that teal color, but it has a little bit of that brown in it. So you just want to understand that that's going to happen every once in a while when you make a project. So I really like how they came out with the solid colors, and I thought it was really great to pair them together, and you can create something beautiful with that. So moving on to the Caron Big Cakes yarn, this is another one of my favorite yarns. I feel like you can get away with making a baby blanket, which is 2 skeins of these bad boys. And this is another color that I like, and it's called Blue Hawaiian. And I'm actually working on a blanket with it right now. But this is the colors that it comes in. And again, I try and match the centers up as much as possible. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but I try and do that as much as possible just so the color striping is basically the same. This is a 10.5 ounce skein or cake, and it's 300 grams, and it is 603 yards or 551 meters. Like the other ones, it is 100% acrylic and machine wash and dryable. This is also a number 4 worsted weight yarn. They recommend a US 8 5mm knitting needles or a US H8 5mm crochet hook. Usually for this, I find it to be a little bit of a thicker number 4 worsted weight yarn, so I usually use a size I or size J crochet hook when working with this yarn. I don't really use a size H 5mm crochet hook. I usually use an I or a J, like I said. Sometimes even a K, depending on the project that I'm working on. But this is what this yarn looks like. They come in a variety of different colors, and again, you want to look at this number right here to match the dye lots as much as possible. So I really like this, and again, it comes with that free pattern, and this just happens to be a scarf, and it tells you how many cakes of yarn you're going to need to make this scarf, I believe. I'm sorry, it's a blanket. So it's going to take 3 cakes of the Caron Big Cakes to make this blanket. Next up, I have another Hobby Lobby yarn, which is Hobby Lobby I Love This Cotton, and this is probably hands down my favorite cotton yarn out there. And the reason for this is because it's very nice and soft and squishy. Some of the other yarns, the other cotton yarns, tend to be a little bit on the rough side or scratchy. So I kind of like this a little bit, especially when I make my spa cloths. I like it because you can rub it up against your face and not really worry about it being too harsh on your skin. And again, for the Hobby Lobby yarn, the I Love This Cotton line comes in a wide variety of solid colors and variegated colors, much like the I Love This yarn. And I've also seen sparkly yarn with the I Love This Cotton, the metallic sparkly yarn. So that's always something interesting to think about. You don't really see that too much with cotton yarns. So this is 100% cotton, and it's a 3.5 ounce skein or 100 grams. And it is 180 yards or 165 meters. The recommended hook size is an I9 5.5mm crochet hook. And for the knitters, they recommend a US 8 5mm knitting needles. And for this, you want to match the dye lots. So you want to look right here and match this number. And it is a 4 worsted weight yarn, and it's machine washable and dryable as well. And this is one of my favorite colors, and it is aqua. Now when you use this, you could pretty much get maybe 1.5 dishcloths with this yarn, depending on how big your dishcloth is. But this is just some leftover from a dishcloth that I made, so I'm probably going to make another one using this one. And if I don't have enough, I can always pair it with another color that I have to make it a full dishcloth. But you could probably get 1 or 2 dishcloths with a skein of yarn, depending on how big you make your dishcloths. Now this final yarn that I have, I don't actually have the yarn itself, as I've used up all of it, but I'm going to show you this chevron scarf that I made using the yarn. So this is the Payton Canadiana yarn, and it's a recent yarn that I discovered from Daisy Farm Crafts. They actually used this particular yarn in a baby sweater that they made, and of course I jumped right on that bandwagon, and they made the same baby sweater for my nephew in the same colors that you see here. So I thought I would use the leftover yarn and make a beautiful chevron scarf with it. So like I said, I don't have the yarn or the ball band or anything like that, because I used this and I threw away the yarn. I threw away the yarn label. And so looking on their website, it seems like they have a variety of solid and variegated shades in this yarn. I've only ever seen the solid colors, but I haven't seen this too much in stores. I know you can purchase some of this yarn on the Joann's website, and you can purchase it on yarnspirations.com, where I purchased it, and I picked up these colors. You have the gray, the medium teal, the light teal, and the white. I really like how it worked up. I feel like it was a very vibrant yarn, and I feel like the stitches are very neat looking, and I just love the softness, and I love all these colors together. So this yarn is considered a 4 worsted weight yarn, and it is recommending a US H8 or 5mm crochet hook. And then for the knitters, they recommend a US 7 or 4.5mm knitting needles. It's wash and dry, 100% acrylic. And for the solids, they are 3.5 ounce skeins or 100 grams. And they are 205 yards or 187 meters. And like I said, they also come in variegated colors. So if you see the variegated, I'm sure they're just as pretty and vibrant as the solid colors. But the variegated are, it seems like it's about the same. It's 3.5 ounce skeins or 100 grams. Just the yardage is a little less. It's the variegated ones are 192 yards or 176 meters compared to the solid colors, which is 205 yards. So I really recommend this yarn because I feel like it comes in very vibrant and bright colors. So that's it for my video on all my favorite and most used yarns. What are some of your favorite yarns? Do you tend to go towards any yarns more than others? Do you have just one particular favorite yarn? I like to know what is your favorite yarn, so please leave me a comment below and let me know what are some of your favorite and most used yarns. Again, my name is Amanda and I'm from amandacrochets.com. Please like, comment, and subscribe to see all future videos by me. And if there's a video in particular that you would like to see, please let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much and have a great day.